Yeah, we've had a failure. Now, what's coming up on the computer was, well, basically, I was driving along. I cleaned the turbo with Mr. Muscle. The car was running absolutely fantastic, better than ever before. The code 4530 did come back, but after I cleaned the turbo, it hasn't come back after a good razzing. I was driving it around for a good 30-45 minutes, trying to make it happen, and it hasn't come back. But in typical fashion, something else happened. Driving along, and all of a sudden it come up DBC, drive accordingly or something like that. I think it's called dynamic brake control. And now what's happening is the car will just shut off. Now the code I'm getting on the computer is crankshaft sensor. Can't bloody talk. Crankshaft sensor, which makes sense because it will start up. And as soon as I move off and give it some gas, it dies. So now, back down the road, there was an issue where it was having long crank times. It just wouldn't go, it just wouldn't start. Once I did get it started, it would then die again. I was literally just like crawling, and it just kept dying and dying and dying. Eventually I had to give up, so I'm now currently waiting for recovery, as there's nothing I can do. But looking at the computer, it is telling me that it's an issue with the crankshaft sensor. Now, let me see if I was clever enough to actually leave this in sleep mode. I was, and I can actually show you. Let's plug this in. I must say, it's the first real failure for this car. It's never left me stranded. I've had it nearly 3 years now. Okay, that's another code that keeps coming up. I'm not sure why that's coming up at the minute. I mean, this is the second new sensor I've put on there, but for some reason it still keeps coming up. I have no idea on that one. I'm going to have to study that a bit more. But the crankshaft sensor is the one we're looking at. So if I were to delete the fault memory, come on, come on. What is it? What time is it now? It's like 9:10. I mean, it's still light out there. I know it looks a bit darker because I'm under all these trees, you see. So the recovery man is going to be approximately 25 minutes, it says. And I didn't have this on a recovery, so it's going to have to be a paid recovery this time, but that's my own fault really. I think I got a little bit arrogant that I rebuilt this engine, nothing's going to go wrong with it now, but obviously it's kicked me in the arse on that one, but there you go, that's life. So lesson learnt this time, and I will definitely put it on recovery the next time. Right, it tells me to remove the key. So we delete the fault. Right, there we go. Put the key back in. Do the vehicle test again. DDE still orange. Now the exhaust back pressure sensor code, even though it's on the ECU, the car doesn't seem to me it's in limp mode at all. It doesn't drive like it's in limp mode. So I'm not entirely sure what effect that has. let's have a look. What we got here? Supply voltage 3, that's always been there. Again, it's something I'll look into a bit further. Exhaust brush, but yeah, the other normal codes are on there. So right. So what we'll do is I'm going to attempt to start the car again, and we'll see if that code pops up. Alright, car started. I'll give it gas. Right, dead again. Okay. Let's delete the fault memory again. And you'll see, once I scan it again for codes, it should come up with crankshaft sensor fault. So let's do the test again, and you'll find it's registered the crankshaft. Well, that is incredible. It hasn't registered the crankshaft. Why is it doing that? And there you have it, crankshaft sensor. So I think it's relating to that now. That would explain the symptoms of long crank and it cutting out. Because obviously the sensor, when it's cold, it'll work. As soon as it warms up, it stops working. Now if I leave it, right, it definitely won't move now, but if we leave it say 5 minutes, it'll fire up. So let's leave it 5 minutes.